Welcome back, everyone, to part two of our deep dive into modern Indian history. It's all about Gandhi and Bose, two giants of the independence movement.
And for anyone prepping for those UPSC exams, you know just how important this is, especially the GS1.
Absolutely, this stuff's key.
And even if you're not facing down the UPSC, this period in history is just fascinating.
Totally agree. Full of twists and turns. Last time we looked at their backgrounds, those incredible journeys.
This time, we're going deeper, getting into the heart of their ideas for India. What kind of country did they actually want to build?
Because it wasn't just about kicking out the British, was it? It was about the vision for what came after.
Exactly. And that's where things get really interesting, because their economic blueprints were worlds apart.
Like on completely different planets.
Gandhi, he was all about decentralization, a village-centric economy. Self-sufficiency was the core.
Like going back to basics.
In a way, yes, but it was tied into his whole idea of Swaraj.
Which, for listeners who need a refresher, is
Complete independence. Not just from British rule, but from any system that's exploitative.
freedom at the grassroots, you could say.
Exactly. Real power in the hands of the people.
And what's remarkable is he wasn't just anti-British. He rejected both Western capitalism and socialism.
Right. It's like he saw the flaws in both.
They both end up, with exploitation somewhere down the line.
And that went totally against his concept of Sarvodaya, progress for everyone,
Not just the few at the top.
especially uplifting those who'd been marginalized.
Makes you think about the systems we have today.
It does. Now, with industrialization, that's where Gandhi's critique gets really sharp.
He was not a fan.
He saw it as the root cause of unemployment, societal imbalance,
Instead of these massive factories, he was all about.
village industries, cooperative practices, producing locally.
Remember that image? Gandhi at his spinning wheel.
Oh, absolutely iconic. But it wasn't just a symbol, it was a statement.
Self-reliance, right?
Yeah, that's pure Gandhi.
Now, Bose, completely different story.
Night and day. Bose was all about the power of industrialization.
He saw it as the key, didn't he?
The key to unlocking India's potential, to becoming a global force,
He was looking at models like the Soviet Union.
which at the time was seen as this example of rapid growth.
So centralized planning.
Absolutely. He envisioned a state-controlled economy.
Big ideas, bold moves.
He even talked about things like abolishing landlordism, relief from agricultural debt. Huge steps.
To propel India into the modern age.
Exactly, a radical transformation.
So you've got Gandhi on one hand, empowering the villages, and Bose on the other, going for rapid industrialization.
It shows you how differently they viewed progress itself.
One focused on the grassroots, the other on sweeping change.
And then you add in Gandhi's trusteeship theory, which is another fascinating wrinkle.
Oh yeah, this one's a head-scratcher.
The idea that the wealthy, they should act as stewards of their wealth.
Almost like holding it in trust for the benefit of society.
It's a radical concept, right? Can
Yeah.
you imagine that actually working?
Makes you think.
Hmm.
Could the wealthy truly act for the common good? Especially today, with all the inequality.
It's a question worth pondering, that's for sure.
And then on the flip side, you've got Bose with his admiration for the Soviet model.
Which, it did achieve rapid industrialization, no doubt.
But it came with a whole lot of other baggage.
Definitely. So was it the right model for India?
What were the potential downsides?
Those are important questions to ask, especially for our listeners who are diving deep into history.
Because it wasn't just about copying what seemed to work. It's about understanding the complexities.
And potential consequences.
So we have these two contrasting paths to progress. Gandhi promoting handloom weaving, village-based self-reliance.
And Bose calling for large-scale industries to push India onto the world stage.
These weren't just policy differences, they were like
Yeah.
fundamental disagreements about what progress even meant.
It gets to the core of their worldviews.
Exactly, and their views on religion added another layer of complexity.
Another layer entirely. Remarkable how much their personal beliefs shaped their visions for India. Gandhi's spirituality, it was profound.
Yeah, you can't separate that from the man, can you?
He really saw the divine as something beyond human grasp, He even talked about how atheism could exist within this, boundless love of God.
It's a really interesting concept, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And that spirituality, it was the foundation for everything he did. His principles, his commitment to truth and nonviolence.
And for Gandhi, God was all about truth, love, those core moral principles. He didn't see a separation between religion and politics.
For him, they were intertwined.
A just state had to be built on those foundations.
Right. And serving the poor, that wasn't just charity, it was a divine act.
Something that went beyond religious labels or boundaries,
Now, compare that to Bose.
who had a very different perspective.
Very different. Bose was deeply influenced by Hindu scriptures, figures like Vivekananda.
But he was much more secular when it came to politics.
Yeah, he believed religion was a personal matter.
It shouldn't be dictated by the state.
Exactly, or used for political gain.
So you've got Gandhi seeing religion as this unifying force for a moral society.
And Bose emphasizing unity across religions.
Two different approaches to the same core idea of free India.
And this difference played out in their actions, too.
It's fascinating how they use symbolism, but in such different ways.
Right. Gandhi used religious language to connect with the masses.
While Bose, even though he drew on Hindu spirituality, he focused on bringing people of all faiths together.
Especially in the Indian National Army, he wanted that broad base of support.
It really highlights the complexities of their leadership.
For sure, and these are nuances that are crucial to understand, especially for anyone studying this period.
Absolutely, whether you're prepping for exams or just fascinated by this era.
Their approaches were different, but they were both aiming for a society where personal faith is respected.
Where it doesn't become a barrier to national unity.
And that's a principle that's still relevant in India today.
It certainly is. This whole discussion about religion's role in public life, it makes you think, doesn't it?
It does, about how it can be both a unifying force and a divisive one.
And those are debates that continue to this day.
Absolutely. And that's where the legacies of both these leaders come in.
Their ideas still resonate.
They still shape how we think about religion in the public sphere.
So just to recap, we've got Gandhi with his vision of a decentralized, village-based economy.
Driven by self-sufficiency.
And that deep spiritual unity.
Then you have Bose, all about industrialization, state control.
But within a secular framework.
It's remarkable how two such contrasting visions emerged from the same fight for independence.
It really shows you, like, the independence movement wasn't some simple thing.
Oh, absolutely not. There were so many different ideas swirling around.
Different visions, approaches, personalities, all coming together for that one big goal of freedom.
And it's fascinating how those different visions still have an impact on India today.
They do. They really do. So how do you see their ideas playing out in modern India? I mean,
Well, look at the economy. There's definitely that push for modernization, for industrialization. That's a clear echo of Bose.
but at the same time, we see all this emphasis on sustainability.
Right. Rural empowerment, local economies. Those themes are very much in line with Gandhi's thinking.
Almost like we're seeing a blend of both their legacies.
I think that's a great way to put it, like a tapestry woven from both those threads.
A mix of traditional and modern, local and global, kind of like India itself.
Exactly. And when you look at religion, it's similar. India's secular framework, that's very much Bose's ideal.
Protecting individual faith, but the state stays neutral.
Right. But at the same time, religion still plays a role in public life, in social norms, even political discourse.
Which is where Gandhi's views come in.
Absolutely. It's this fascinating interplay. And for anyone studying India today, this is key to understanding how it all works.
Whether you're in school, college, or just interested in the history.
It all comes back to these big questions, which brings us to, I think, a really important thought.
Okay, let's hear it.
In a world that's dealing with so much inequality, so much uncertainty about faith, which of their visions is more relevant now?
Wow, that's a tough one. It's not an easy answer.
It really makes you think about the choices we make.
About what kind of progress we want for India, for the world.
And there are no simple solutions.
Well, on that note, I want to thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. It's been an incredible journey.
It really has. Exploring these two towering figures.
For our UPSC aspirants, remember, this is essential stuff for that GS1 modern history prep.
Absolutely crucial.
And for everyone else who joined us, I hope you enjoyed the exploration
I hope it sparks some curiosity.
about how India got to where it is today and how these two men shaped the path.
Their legacies are still with us, that's for sure.
They are. And don't forget, you can always find more deep dives like this one.
We love to explore these big topics.
So like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time for another dive into history.